Tonight on Wings, take off with the Discovery Channel in the McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle. The no-expense spare design of the F-15 has created what many believe to be the most potent fighter interceptor in aviation history. Combining size, power, and superb agility, the F-15 stands ready to meet any challenge. Tonight, soar high with the McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle on Wings.
FAA, I have an aircraft about 40 miles southwest of Tin City. No modes or codes. Do you have any aircraft in that vicinity? Thank you, Delta Bravo. Attention in operations, this is ID. Trap Zulu 235. 40 miles southwest of Tin City. No possibilities.
This is Top Rock with an expedite scramble. Authentication time is 1906. Scramble.
The F-15 Eagle may be the best air superiority fighter available to anyone, anywhere in the world. It might be thought that this state-of-the-art aircraft was the product of decades of constant refinement of a basic specification. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth, because the Eagle is the answer to the blending together of two very real and concurrent problems, both of which caught the Air Force off guard. The air war in Vietnam echoed a message that the Zeros of World War II and the MiG-15s of Korea had already proclaimed, that fighters must be able to fight other fighters. American fighter procurement till that time had provided the Air Force with two sorts of fighter aircraft. Interceptors, able to cut off and destroy incoming enemy bombers, but not really capable of taking on enemy fighters in a dogfight. Or fighter bombers, aircraft that could fly at great speed and carry a very heavy and versatile weapons load, but could only take on enemy fighters with the aid of heavy and expensive avionics and missilery. The nearest answer that the United States had to the MiG was the F-4 Phantom II. But even this superb aircraft was an ill match for the Russian-built planes in a dogfight. It achieved its excellent results through its superior avionics and with the standoff ability supplied by the second crew member with his weapons array. In Vietnam, it was the U.S. Air Force's best fighter with its great speed and phenomenal lifting power, and the dependability of two engines. But even this aircraft could not outmaneuver the much lighter and often much older aircraft used by the North Vietnamese. The other alarming problem confronting the Air Force in the mid-60s echoed that presented by the first B-17s in the 1930s, a bomber that could outfly any operationally deployed U.S. fighter. In the mid-50s, the Strategic Air Command issued a specification for a long-range heavy bomber that could travel comfortably at 2,000 miles per hour. This target was thought to be hypothetical only, but nevertheless, it produced one of the most remarkable aircraft of all time, the XB-70 Valkyrie. This brilliant design rose into the air in the early 60s, utilizing almost every scrap of new technology available to the aerospace industry. Its 6 enormous turbojet engines were contained in a wedge-shaped hull below the wing. As well as accommodating the power and the undercarriage, the wedge shape was itself a contributor to the aircraft's potency. At the speed of sound, this shape forced the shock wave outward from the fuselage, a phenomenon that would have been of little value had not the Valkyrie been equipped with massive wingtips, which, when lowered, trapped the shock wave, gaining extra lift and speed. This arrangement sprang from a theory called compression lift, which was found not only to be correct, but which gave the Valkyrie a startling edge over anything else in the air. For Russian strategists, the development of this plane must have been a significant threat. They had no way of confidently shooting it down, reflecting a shortfall in their missile and fighter capability. By this time, Russia had, of course, perfected long-range anti-aircraft missiles, but with the speed and height of the Valkyrie, it was likely that a dangerous percentage of attacking XB-70s could penetrate the Soviets' air defense and reach their targets. The Russian weapons designers went to work on the problem. As it happened, Valkyrie was canceled, but clearly Russian fighter designers continued to take its potential into account. In 1968, at the Domodov Air Show in Moscow, the Soviets demonstrated the expected array of military might. But at the end of the show, as a finale, 3 massive jet aircraft appeared and streaked across the sky. The crowd of foreign observers at the display were stunned by the size and apparent performance of the aircraft. Reports sifting back to the Pentagon on the new plane's proportions and size suggested an aircraft of awesome top speed. For the next few months, nothing more was seen of the plane, which had been given the NATO code name Foxbat. Then, high in the sky over Israel, an Israeli F-4 located an unidentified blip on its radar, and on climbing higher to investigate, found it was approaching one of the new Soviet aircraft. In the thin air over 60,000 feet, the Foxbat, seemingly oblivious to the presence of the Israeli plane, slipped through the air using sophisticated sensors in its nose to record Israeli ground activity. The Phantom itself, a fast, high-flying aircraft, could only slowly approach the new Russian type as both aircraft climbed still higher. This was the first aerial encounter between a Western pilot and one of the new planes, but the experience was cut short. The Phantom was already strained at top speed to catch the other plane, but the Foxbat wasn't near being fully extended. In seconds, the plane accelerated away, leaving the Phantom floundering. The Foxbat had caught the West off guard. This Soviet-built fighter, capable of 3 times the speed of sound, was already in operation. The U.S. had contemplated the production of a fighter version of the Valkyrie, but this aircraft, the F-108 Rapier, never went beyond the mock-up stage. Had it gone into production, it would have utilized variable geometry on the jet engine intakes to maximize the aircraft's potential at all altitudes. Although the 108 was extensively tested and elaborate models were made, the project was canceled without a prototype ever being built.
My past experience in the F-4 led me to particularly be interested in the F-15. And when I got in the cockpit, it was like everything that I'd ever possibly found fault with in the F-4 was corrected. It was a perfect fit.